Morning guys, my name's Vinny. I retired at the age of 47 after saving and investing since my early 20s. We're just exploring the north coast of Fuerteventura in the Canary Islands today. This is one of the big surfing spots in Fuerteventura, so as you can see we've got some pretty big waves going on out there. My girlfriend's just down there exploring the rock pools. I did say we had some cheap hobbies and you can't really get cheaper than walking around the beach looking in rock pools. So I wanted to answer a question that comes up on the channel quite frequently, and it's around the amount of money you need to retire. Quite a few people ask, do you need £1 million to retire? Or for the US viewers, do you need $1 million to retire? I know a lot of you guys have asked me about my financial circumstances, how much money I've got in investments and stuff like that. And so far, I've not really discussed money, but I would like to do that in an upcoming video. The reason I've not talked about money so far is that it doesn't really matter what figure I put on the amount of money I'm able to retire on. What's going to happen is, as soon as I put that figure out there, a lot of people are going to say, that's not enough money to retire on. But on the opposite end of the scale, you're also going to get people who say, wow, that's too much money for me to save. I can never retire because you need to save this much. And that's the reason I've been quite vague about the figures so far. But as I say, I'll probably talk about that in the future. But just for now, I want to answer this £1 million question. So the quick answer to the £1 million question is this. It all depends how much you spend. It's just common sense. It all depends how much money you spend. So if you're super frugal and you have really cheap hobbies, and let's say you live in a camper van or you live in your car, you're not going to need anywhere near £1 million to retire. However, if you've got a really crazy expensive lifestyle where you're spending £100,000 on cars, you've got a £600,000–700,000 home, you spend £10,000 going on holiday, you spend £1,000 on a designer coat or something like that, then you're obviously going to need a lot more money to retire on. So let me share this example with you. I've got a really good example to share. I have a couple of friends who are both millionaires. I met them both about 10 years ago in mountaineering circles, and I've done a lot of hiking and mountaineering with these guys, so I know a lot of their stories. Now, as I say, both of these guys are millionaires, but in terms of spending, they are at completely opposite ends of the scale. So my first millionaire friend I'm going to talk about, he made most of his money in property and HR consultancy. He's already reached the retirement age in the UK, which is currently 65 years old, and he's still working. Whenever I'm out hiking with him, I say to him, why don't you just retire? And he says, no, I can't retire, I have to keep working. I haven't got enough money to retire. And I'm thinking, okay, well, you're a millionaire. So that's millionaire one. So my other friend, who's also a millionaire, he retired in his 50s. He made his money from, believe it or not, bingo. This is going to sound like a really tall story, but trust me, it's 100% true. He used to be a bingo caller, so he used to work in a bingo club. He was the guy who called out the bingo numbers, and the club got into financial trouble. So what he did, he went to the bank, he got a loan, and he bought the club, and he turned it into the most popular bingo club in the city. And a few years later, a big bingo company knocked on his door and he said, can we buy the club off you? And they paid him a huge amount of money for that, and it made him a millionaire overnight. So thinking back to my two millionaire friends, they both became millionaires approximately around the same time, and yet one of them retired and one of them still working, which is quite crazy when you think about it. So my bingo millionaire friend is very much like me. He's very frugal. He buys his clothes second hand. He doesn't buy new cars. He doesn't have a big house. He spends his money on experiences rather than what I call stuff. On the opposite end of the scale, my other millionaire friend, my property HR consultancy millionaire friend, he's a very big spender. For example, a couple of years back, he bought a brand new motorhome. It cost him over £100,000. It's one of these humongous 6-berth motorhomes. Cost him an absolute fortune, and he probably only uses it for about 4 weeks a year. He lives in a very wealthy area in the northwest of England. He lives in this huge house, which you can only really describe as a mansion. It's a very impressive, very grand home. He also loves his luxury cars as well, so he owns 2 Range Rovers, and I'm not talking the small Range Rovers that everybody buys, I'm talking the big customised overfinch type of things. So he's got 2 of those. He's got this top of the range luxury Jaguar as well, that must have cost about £80,000. His wife has a very similar mindset as well. She's a very big spend. And don't get me wrong guys, I'm not criticising anybody who spends money. Their money, horses for courses, they can spend their money on whatever they want. But the point I'm trying to get across here is it doesn't really matter how much money you earn or how much money you've got saved in the bank. If you're a very big spender, you're going to need a lot more money to retire. It's as simple as that. So just going back to my 2 millionaire friends, the big spender, the HR consultancy guy, he still hasn't been able to retire. He still spends, and that's absolutely fine. It's his money, he can spend it on wherever he wants. But my other millionaire friend is definitely more on the same wavelength as me. He's frugal like me. He's always looking to squeeze as much value as possible from his money. So to answer the question, do you need £1 million or $1 million to retire? It all depends on how much money you spend. It's common sense, isn't it? But sometimes it's good to hear that information from somebody else, just to kind of affirm what you're thinking in your head. So the next question someone's going to ask me is, are you a millionaire? And the answer is, I'm not a millionaire. If I was to continue working for, say, the next 10 years, and I carried on saving and investing like I've been doing since my 20s, I would probably easily break through that £1 million barrier. But the question is, do I need to do that? Do I need to do that? I've worked in corporate environments for over 25 years, and I've come across quite a few people who've been heavily investing into their pension, and their goal has been to hit that £1 million pension pot. And here's the weird thing, when I've sat down with those guys and I've said to them, well, why have you got this £1 million target? They don't really have an answer. They don't really know why they're aiming for £1 million. They just got it in their head that you need £1 million to retire. And judging by some of the comments I've had on the channel so far, I think that's quite a common conception, that you somehow need £1 million to retire or $1 million. I'm being honest, I don't really know where that comes from. I'm wondering if there's some big financial guru out there who's saying to people on his YouTube or his TikTok channel or wherever, guys, you need £1 million to retire, or guys, you need $1 million to retire. I'm wondering if that's where that information's coming from. I've personally never seen anything in financial literature that said you must have £1 million or $1 million to retire. So I really don't get where this million comes from. If you guys know where that £1 million or $1 million figure comes from, please let me know in the comments, because I'd be really interested to know where that comes from. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Hope you found some useful insight in the video. I think my girlfriend's starting to get a bit bored now, so I'm going to head down and join her and watch these waves for a little bit, have a look on the rock pools with her. As I say, we do have some fairly cheap hobbies. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, and of course feel free to subscribe if you'd like to join me on my early retirement journey. I'd really appreciate that. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy. Cheers. Bye for now.